angry. And the woman's gonna have to say, you don't want to be angry. You want to speak up. You want to disagree with what's going on. It's wrong, but do not be angry. Then you won't have fear. You won't have doubt. You won't have worries. You'll be able to see, but you got to stay away from anger. That's why you must forgive your mothers and your fathers so that you can overcome the spirit of anger. It's a spirit and it's wicked. Nothing good in anger because it has no love, folks. You need love to defeat evil. And love is not a weakness. It's a strength. It's from God. It's His nature. You can't run from evil within yourself or outside of self. You got to deal with it. And you need good in order to deal with evil. And God is good. You need to return to the Father. And you'll see within you, He will fight the battle for you. And He will fight it without, because He will show you how to deal with it. And you will have no fear. Love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your might, along with nothing else. Nothing else means yourself, your children, your wife, your things, your ego, your reputation, and all that. You can't care about any of that. The children of anger will use it to control you. But if you love God, He will renew your mind, and none of those things will be before Him. And so when they go after you, oh, well, you may take my body, you may take my things, but you're not going to take my soul. And that's a true reality. I recommend you get a copy of my book, From Rage to Responsibility. I write about how the spirit of anger was taken away from me 29 years ago. I forgave my mother who tried to turn me away from my father, and I returned to my father, and through him, my father on earth, and through him, I was able to return to God. No man or woman can return to God unless you go through the Son. And men are sons of God. There may be weak, pathetic examples of it, but it's the spiritual order of life. God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children. So get From Rage to Responsibility. I write about that. Go to my website, rebuildingtheman.com, for an autographed copy, or call 800-411-BOND. And donate to my nonprofit, Bond, the Brotherhood Organization of a New Destiny. We are rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. So, here's what I recommend. I invite you to download my silent prayer.
I know some people have called in and they wonder if the silent prayer is working. And I just want to take a second and to tell them that it works. You just have to stick with it.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I started doing before I even forgave my parents. And I was so depressed and suicidal at some times that I just would have to stop in the middle of my job or whatever I was doing and go into the silent prayer. And it really does help. Like, I don't have those anymore.
Amazing. You haven't seen anything yet. Doubt every thought. Bring every thought into captivity. Just let them all pass. Don't judge them. You haven't seen anything. It gets better and better and better and easier, easier, easier. So my gift to you, no charge, at rebuildingtheman.com/church. Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home. That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby. You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room,
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on America's soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Thanks for tuning in, folks, on this fine Tuesday. It's a fine Tuesday to be back with you today. I got a bit of a show for you. I've been following this United Nations thing, and it's somewhat interesting to me. I want to kind of speak on it with you guys, kind of show you some stuff I saw. You got the who's who. I mean, their excellencies are gathered for the 80th UNGA debate, where the cavemen were the slightly smarter, the best dressed cavemen, the best dressed cavemen of all these different caves come together and they debate. It's the 80th one, 80 years of the UN, and they got a lady running it. They got Guterres still, and if you remember him, he's got those dark European eyes with that is focused on racism and human rights. It's so focused on human rights. It's all he thinks about. And so we'll get to some of that. It's kind of fascinating, especially Trump's talk on it. It was pretty cool to watch. I mean, he just shows how they're broken. And I want to kind of come at it with like a little bit of, what do they say? Realpolitik angle. That's just a fancy word. That's just a fancy word when you want to say you're saying something. You're saying the real thing. You're saying the fancy thing. See, because they're the United. They have their formal setting or their formal what do you call it? Their formal presentation. We are a assembly of all these nations, and we are here for peace. You have what you say you are, and then you have what you are or what you do in effect. The reality of it, the realpolitik, fancy words, whatever. We'll get into it. There's a number of things there. United Nations in a time of chaos. They too, Guterres was saying to the people, in a time of chaos, where's your decorum? And in that, I respect him. I agree. I ask that of my audience every day. Where's your decorum? You come in here. You come on in. You don't even say hi. You don't click the like button. Everybody's coming in and saying hi, and they're clicking the like button on their way in. And you're like, no one's even looking at me. I don't have to, act in society. I don't have to be civilized. I'm not being a bad guy. In reality, you're adding to the net drag of civility. It's terrible. Click the like button. Don't be rude. Do it for, and I mean this. It's not even a joke. Do it for do it for Irina. It's like I'm talking about civility, so it makes sense. Click the like button. Okay. If you don't click the like button, it's like we're gonna be afraid of you. Who's this guy? And is he armed? Thanks for saying hello. Leave a little comment. Thank you. You're on punchy.tv/anchorbaby. You're leaving a comment. You're saying hello. You're on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. You're leaving a little comment. You're saying hello. And, of course, you're on YouTube. Thanks, everybody. We'll get to everybody. We'll get to the super chats. Buymeacoffee.com/Anchor Baby. And, of course, all of our calls. Nit leaving his little empty Cheeto bags everywhere. That's funny. Well, what are you talking about? Are you talking about my lack of decorum? Welcome to the show. Look, and of course the calls, 888-775-3773. If you got something on your mind, something you want to talk about, something you want to say here, look, I want to get into this UN stuff, and it looks like it's still live. So you're going to be in your best behavior as we kind of get around through this video, because I have some parts, and I believe it's just still going on. So, none of my timestamps aren't really going to work. But, we'll get through it because we got some time here. And look, you'll find this interesting, I think. Look. So I'm going to mute this, check this all out. As you saw, the UNGA, the cavemen are talking. The UNGA, it's United Nations General Assembly, okay? The cavemen gave it, and it's an acronym, okay? They gave it a big meaning. So don't be so quick to judge. UNGA 80th meeting, 80 years. And it kicks off with the UNGA president, Annalene Baerbock. She's like German. The president. She's the president. Annalene smacking their little gavel. Hey, guys. I think I even hear someone laughing when she...
Excellencies, good morning. Good morning, heads of states, excellencies, dear guests, people watching from home.
From home.
The fourth plenary meeting of the General Assembly is called to order.
Is that laughing? You hear that? You hear that? Is that just me? One more time.
Called to order. After...
Sounded like maybe cackling. Maybe a lady. So, whatever. That's her, Annalene. You know, she makes a little thing about, I'll try and be quick. I'll try and be brief on that because it's just a whole long thing. I've been kind of following it. And, right, she goes on. It's like, we're meeting here because it's important that we meet. And it's just a good thing that we meet, and it's important. And it's like, I'm glad you're here. And we're going to hear from Guterres here, the secretary, and his work. And then we'll hear from all of you. And thank you. So that's pretty much what she does here. And you might remember Guterres. Let me see, where's my... Oh, there you are. Secretary General of the UN. Antonio, right? It's like fun. Oh, yeah, Antonio Guterres. It's like spelled funny, but whatever. You're familiar with him maybe a little bit. Maybe not. And so he gets up. He's got his speech. And it's pretty interesting. So he describes the 80 years of this assembly, the importance of it, why everybody's here, why everybody gathered here today. And then he invokes a little bit of, the things to avoid, the reasons why we're here. Well, we don't want to have famine, war, and World War III, he says. He's like, World War III, on the flames of World War III, we're meeting today. So he just kind of leaves that there. He kind of invokes that a couple of times. He'll do that throughout on what we must, the wars we must avoid. In these times of chaos, we must, be more unified more than ever. We are all in this together, he says. And then it's kind of around here where he kind of speaks on that. I kind of want to start his clip. Let's see, where was it?
2 words we have not been able to say.
No. I kind of summarized for you a bunch of this.
Our founders had seen firsthand the hell of the
hell in World War III
and World War III.
There he goes. We already did that.
We are all in this.
There we go. We're all in this together.
And this General Assembly Hall is the heartbeat of that truce. It is why for decades, world leaders have come to this one-of-a-kind podium. It is why you are here today. Because at its best, the United Nations is more than a meeting place. It's a moral compass, a force for peace and peacekeeping, a guardian of international law, a catalyst for sustainable development, a lifeline for people in crisis, a lighthouse for human rights, and the center that transforms your decisions, the decisions of member states, into action.
It's what you guys want.
80 years.
It's what you guys want. We're doing this together to put this into action, the peace that needs to be put into action.
We confront again the question our founders faced, only more urgent, more intertwined, more unforgiving. What kind of world do we choose to build together? Excellencies, we have our work cut out for us as our ability to carry out...
How's 1.5? Your brain's handling this?
Excellencies, we have our work cut out for us as our ability to carry out that work is being cut from us.
So he goes on, he's like, all this stuff, you guys want this to express the values of the UN in these times of chaos. And in these times of chaos, the ability to carry out this work is being taken from us, the UN. And he goes on, I want to play some, let you guys think for yourselves a bit, but essentially, I see this man speaking out of out of both sides of his mouth. And with the same breath, he speaks on the work, the peace that needs to happen, and how they have to do it though, and they're being stopped from doing it. The principles, it's so important. What kind of world do we want to live in? And we're all in this together. And it's like they could pick and choose what they're in with, because he later goes on to he speaks on Gaza, Ukraine, racism, human rights, and that all sounds nice, right? That all sounds like, how could you be against that? But you got to understand, those are all words used to lie about those situations and charge people with a misdiagnosis of something that they're not doing usually. And it's usually America. Notice that it's usually America. Racism or what they're doing abroad or what they're supporting abroad. It's always America. And you know, I had to like take a step back and ask a question about, well, as an entity, you know, as an entity, if you could break it down, is the UN, how big is the US and how big is the UN? Now, it's like member states, so they don't even own everything they have, so to speak, right? Because they have a military wing, sort of. They do peacekeeping. But these peacekeeping missions are right, they're helped by the militaries of the nation states. But there are ways to put this together. They say when you combine the nation states economically, the UN in aggregate, as opposed to the U.S., is bigger, trillions bigger. So the U.S. GDP is 30 trillion estimated, 140 trillion for the UN. But militarily, I mean, the U.S. is the behemoth here, pretty much handles it there. And I think about this relationship when you see it, kind of how I'm seeing it here. Yeah, there's the formal thing the UN says they're about, the peacekeeping, and we're working all together. But it's, in effect, just a way to be a lever of effect in America. That's what they do in effect. So where was I here? Look, this guy, I guess I should have moved on from Guterres too fast, because he speaks about the world and why everybody came together. And in my opinion, hearing him speak, it tells me what's wrong with everything. What's wrong with Europe and the UN and these nations, you know, the West. We grew up here. Our families, many of people's families are ancestors. That's different for me maybe, but look, I grew up here. And these nations, they're crumbling. And then everywhere else isn't doing so hot either. Like, it's a chaotic time. So he speaks on these things, and I think describes why it's going wrong. So he blames he describes this multipolarity coming about, and he loves it. He says it's diversity, it's great. Right after he just got done saying we need to be peaceful, what's going on with the world? And he ties this multipolarity, right? Because you got the U.S. running things, and then that's changing. So now the world is like chaotic and fighting. And he says, in this time of multipolarity, what we need is a strong multilateral agency, etc., to just control it all, so that we can have peace, so we don't devolve into war. It's good that we're diverse and everybody's like vying for power, but you must let us. You're all sovereign, world, by the way, but you got to let us run everything. They say it. He says it in the same breath. He calls out the barbaric violators of the UN Charter. See, there's nation states that are members, but they're also fighting, like Sudan and stuff, and Israel and Ukraine. And if you fight, you got to be nice to the civilians and all that. And I think most people can understand that and agree with when you just kind of put it like plainly like that, which has its lack of sophistication. But I mean, again, on that basic sentence, I think people can agree. But look, they calling out these people violating the charter. Okay, you guys are killing civilians. You guys are having these wars, and then he zeroes in on Ukraine. He's like, okay, right on that you guys are working at it, but we need this to end for peace, and just kind of makes this kind of overarching. You just got to have peace. It's like that just sounds nice. And let's say the actors, right, Russia and Trump and America, they work it out. Well, what do you get to say there? You just get to say, "Thank you for following the UN." What would have it would have been made? It would have been made to be. It would have been. It would only have had happened because of action by men. And in this hypothetical, it's Trump and Russia, not the UN. He speaks on Gaza and he says that it's just terrible. It defies humanity what's happening there. That just defies humanity. And if something you got to know, essentially a branch or whatever of the UN, the ICJ, International Criminal Justice Court, they have these demands of the whole Gaza situation and of others. Basically, they have humanitarian concerns that it comes down to them saying, you guys got to stop the killing of civilians, and you guys have to affirm sovereignty. And he goes on to say about Gaza, it's a humanitarian crisis, terrible, it's got to end, it defies humanity, and Israel has got to follow the ICJ, what they're saying, right away. Also, then he goes on, same like this, right? The very next sentence, he's like, "But also, I don't, I understand what happened October 7th, and I in no way justify Hamas or the killing of Israel, etc. And that is why I call for a two-state solution, blah blah blah, like as it was reaffirmed yesterday." I guess that told me, yesterday, because this is happening today, right? This is still live. Some of this. Yesterday they made some affirmation about making a two-state solution, and here's why I have like a flippant attitude about that, because all the people who say that are just like, what an ego. In the position they're in, they have nothing to do with it, and they're not adding to it at all. They're just saying it's just a blanket two-state. What I see when I hear that, and the type of person saying that, I see someone who's saying, I want the conflict to end, but in effect, they want the conflict to keep going out of wanting to be politically correct, out of just mama fear, out of some other agendas and motivations. I don't know, but for those that know anything, they've been fighting, and there's been all this stuff. And you can agree or disagree, and maybe Israel's going too far or something. I'm not familiar like that, but for all their talk of peace and all that, and it's like, we got to make it happen. Where's the action happening? The people there, the people involved. And yeah, it's like Gaza, they have little power, Nick. They're not really making anything happen. So I'm telling you exactly what's happening. In effect, those in power, Israel, the ones that have the push and all that, are making change happen. And I think anybody knows, this is my impression, this is how I gather that situation over there, that everything before up to this point has been just a mess. He went on to say the civilians, but hasn't it been like years and years of besides the fighting, right? Besides the multiple wars and all that in that region, even the peacetime, it's like, it's still a mess, and like missiles and stuff. And so, and then after all that, you get to turn around and say, and so, guys, just like, stop fighting. It's wrong what you did. It's wrong what you did. So, and it's not like he's saying, because it's another thing to say, let's say he had the power to just snap his fingers and create a two-state solution. Now they have to, and create the laws for them and do that. That'd be, I guess, a different scenario. But he's not saying that. He's saying, so, right? despite everything I just mentioned and all the fighting and all that, and his condemnation, he's just saying, okay, now I suggest a two-state solution. You guys figure it out, guys. Hurry it up. That's what's happening. And you see, that's ridiculous. That's like, what an ego. It helps nothing and shows the ineffectiveness of the UN and Europe and the United Nations member states and their thinking. We'll get to that in a moment. Trump really lays it out and lays in on them out of love. He says it too. He's like, I love Europe. And he tells them exactly why the UN and the member states are going away. And it's some of this, right? Like, it's this mama spirit, like, you're going to fix the world, but you don't even mean it. Some believe that BS, and they're like activists. Some got old, and this is how I see it, in my opinion. But some get old in this BS and this thinking, they're just like, we just got to keep it going for self-serving reasons, or lying to yourself reasons. I don't know. Anyways, and then they blather on about rights, the human rights of women and those raped in the Congo. And that Annalene lady comes back up. She's like, yeah, the women raped in the Congo. The women raped in the Congo. It's like, who's going to save those women, Annalene? Other men? Like, you're making this thing about the women. It's a feminist thing. You understand? It's like a feminist thing. The women are under attack. It's not even true. As a group in that way. No, they've been protected and lauded and right and undone in God's spiritual order of the family. They're completely undone. They've completely undone that, and they're still like, women are oppressed and they're being attacked. You mean by like barbarians in the Congo, where there's no men to set laws, where there's no men like to put order? So that, it's like, what am I watching here? I'm going off of memory. Some of this stuff. But it's fresh a little. What can I say? I think we're done with Guterres. I want to get to Trump. I want to get to calls. I want to get to a number of things here. 888-775-3773. But that was my impression, my view of what Guterres, the Secretary General of the UN, the face and running of the day-to-day secretary stuff, and his thinking here. So where was I? And, I already made my point. They say they're this peacekeeping thing, but really it's just this constant thorn for the U.S., for those that which, look, it's this simple. America remains. Even if it's waning or in this way or that way, it's been expressed by people smarter than I on this. America remains, right, economically, as part of as an anchor in the global monetary system, right? The U.S. dollar, the market of America being valuable to the world, partly because of the U.S. dollar, right? Everybody wants to sell to the American. In many ways, it's this behemoth, and it's the player in the playground to take down if you want stuff. And this is very crude. I'm just expressing things I've heard because it may very well be that's not how the world works, but I don't know, whatever. This idea that, right, only America must go down so others can rise. I'm expressing to you some of this thinking, though. And with this, you understand how something like the UN can become simply a lever to affect a political, economic enemy or opponent. You understand? This isn't like crazy things. I'm just describing the enduring relationship America has with pretty much all. I've heard it described like this: as an empire, pretty much every relationship America has is, you could describe it as sort of, I don't know if the word is parasitic, but they're trying to get as much as they can. And America might have reasons to make deals with those. I'm thinking of different nations in the world, and that's kind of how things have been ordering themselves. The people running those deals have been quite corrupt too over the years, so the deals are messed up. Trump's coming in, right, cleaning up some of that. They're getting mad at it. he's using tariffs to do that. That's just how I see this. But where was I? That's Guterres' description of the world, focused on human rights and racism. He says that. He says racism, discrimination, and so he blathers on about all that. So Trump comes in. He comes in. He talks after they have him speak after the Brazilian guy. I skipped him. I didn't even watch him. Lula, right? Isn't he socialist? Trump comes in. And here we go.
Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. And I don't mind making this speech without a teleprompter, because the teleprompter is not working. I feel very happy to be up here with you nevertheless, and that way you speak more from the heart. I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble.
Right, kicking it off. Like, he goes on later to describe this moment with the busted escalator. And we'll get to all that, but it's so great. I mean, he really sets the tone. Useless UN. What are you doing here? You're just fighting me. You're just fighting the U.S. And you can't even work right. Okay? Which is a taboo. You understand? I don't think anyone before Trump, I know he did it. It's maybe kind of old news. Not old, but because he did it like 26. Since he's been around, he's been saying the UN is useless. Hey, you guys don't even pay in the percentage you're supposed to. Remember all that? So I think he totally moved the over 10 window on that, if that's the correct term.
Hello, Madam President.
Oops.
Thank you very much for being here. And Madam President, Mr. Secretary General, First Lady of the United States, distinguished delegates, ambassadors, and world leaders. 6 years have passed since I last stood in this grand hall and addressed a world that was prosperous and at peace in my first term. Since that day, the guns of war have shattered the peace I forged on two continents. An era of calm and stability gave way to one of the great crises of our time. And here in the United States, 4 years
How's 1.75? Is your brain handling it?
Of calm and stability gave way to one of the great crises of our time. And here in the United States, 4 years of weakness, lawlessness, and radicalism under the last administration.
This is how your brain works when you grew up with an iPad. Everything, it's in 1.5, but to you, it's one times. Okay, so 1.5 is already, so 1.7 is definitely a problem then. Okay, so your circuitry can't handle being overclocked to 1.75. You guys will be okay with 1.5. Okay, you guys will be okay.
Era of calm and stability gave way to one of the great crises of our time. And here in the United States, 4 years of weakness, lawlessness, and radicalism under the last administration.
And I'll stop him there just for a moment. I'm going to summarize some of this. He goes on to describe the problems America's faced, Biden, and what he's trying to do, and then quickly just describes his achievements and all that, the economy a bit. It's some just domestic things, just domestically in the short time he's been in here. He describes some of his achievements with all that, and then he kind of moves. It's cool because he kind of moves it to also abroad, and yeah, Ukraine is well, I don't know if it's a mess. I don't know the details, but it's not like ended. Okay, so that's how I see it, and Israel's going on. But he goes in, he's describing at home and handling all that. He describes just the peace, the work he's done to make deals, right? Deals was all over. He also says, he describes the 7 wars he stopped. And so that's what he said, and that's awesome. That's kind of that's an amazing thing to hear. I'm not familiar with the details. But, he said that about 7 wars he stopped with no help from the UN. No help at all. Where were they? Where's all the peacekeeping that's needed to happen, right? He sent around 80 years of assemblies. And here's the moments of when you need peace. And he describes succinctly how the only thing that matters here, and it's been mattering with the 7 wars he describes and what's enduring, is action. Okay.
The strongest borders, the strongest military.
Right. He describes the borders, which I don't want to gloss over that. He describes something awesome about the border domestically.
Administration. We are the hottest country anywhere, strongest economy, the strongest borders, the strongest military, the strongest golden age from the previous administration, including under my leadership, energy costs are down.
The golden age from the previous administration. Come on.
Gasoline prices are down.
Hello.
Grocery prices are down. More the stock market, which just hit.
Melania, beautiful Melania.
Growth is surging.
We're skipping a little bit.
All of you in this room benefit by that. Almost everybody.
Oh, yeah, they do.
And importantly, workers.
Everybody in there benefits from that. You don't want, like, they want to say multipolar. We want to go against Guterres, communists running the UN, just a thorn in America. It's like, what do you want to replace it with, you guys? It's like, who do you evil people want to enrich at the cost of the stability of the world? Like, what like Gotham City level villainy is this?
Wages are rising at the fastest pace in more than 60 years. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? In 4 years.
And we'll get to calls.
We'll get President Biden, we had less than $1 trillion of new investment into the United States.
All right, all the investment. Come on, I didn't want to gloss. We might have to, but he made a point about it's been months now, and the border. What did he say specifically? I want to find out. The crossings or something are zero.
Cuts in American history, making this once and again the best country.
Yeah,
an awfully good investment.
Great place to invest. He's saying.
Ever, history of the world. In my first term, I built the greatest economy in the history.
Okay.
First term, 4 months in a row.
Oh, here.
Successfully repelled a colossal invasion, and for the last 4 months. And that's 4 months in a row. The number of illegal aliens admitted and entering our country has been zero. Hard to believe. Because if you look back just a year ago, it was millions and millions of people pouring in from all over the world, from prisons.
And then decades before that.
From mental institutions, drug dealers. All over the world they came. They just poured into our country with the ridiculous open border policy of the Biden administration. Our message is very simple. If you come illegally into the United States, you're going to jail or you're going back to where you came from. Or perhaps even further than that. You know what that means? I want to thank the country of El Salvador for the successful and professional.
That's right. He thanks them. Congratulates El Salvador.
Same situation with immigrants.
And so that's quite interesting about immigration. I think this is where I'll stop it just for a second. Essentially, just say my little point, because we're going to search and seek for his commentary about Europe and how much he loves them. Okay, we're going to seek and search for that here in a moment. I was just thinking to myself as I was watching this, in the context of the man right before, or just a few speakers before saying, we need peace, right? It sounds all nice. Oh, we need peace, and everybody's just got to work together because we're all in this together. We're all in this together. And so it's time to start acting like it. So start listening to us. Do what we're telling you to do. Because, these conflicts you guys are all having, they got to stop. And now let me speak about some specific conflicts here. It's a little bit wrong here. It's a little bit wrong here. So figure it out. And thank you. And here's the president, Mr. Trump. It's like, great, wow, amazing speech. That helps everybody. That helps somebody. In that context of that, he's and you may not like it. Here's the thing. You may not like it. You may disagree, but he describes like the Abraham Accords. And I'm not going to tell you that I'm too knowledgeable on that, but put it like this. I think you can agree that there is the action happening, right? They talked about peace and what they want to happen. There is action happening, and you may dislike it. Some say, oh, well, that's just like Israel and the IC, or I forget who they say. It's whatever. It's whatever. It's this side, and they're just pushing their agenda. And so these people believe some other side should win. But no matter what side you think you land on and have your opinions on, here it's happening. Everybody else is talking. Here it's happening. And put it like this. Peace would come, like, put it like this. You may dislike the side that would win, but that would bring a peace in effect. So anyway, I mean, look, these people are saying two-state solution. They're not serious. They're not serious about peace. They'll turn around and say to America, right? It's time to get together, get along, guys. It's time to just get along. Enough with this racism. Anybody living in America with any like any head on their shoulders is thinking to themselves here and that you just said two opposing things. I mean, you just charged a whole bunch of people with a false crime they're not even doing because it's not even real. But where was I? Look, check this out. He loves Europe.
Choice.
He loves Europe.
And other countries have no choice because other countries are in the exact same situation with immigration. It's destroying your country, and you have to do something about it.
It's destroying
on the world
your
stage.
country.
America is respected again, like it has never been respected before. You think about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, or 1 year ago, we were a laughingstock all over the world. At the NATO summit in June, virtually all NATO members formally committed to increase defense spending at my request.
Please, Nick, this is torture. You talking about the 1.5? Nick, Trump on 2 times speed. It's not 2 times. You guys, this is barely. We're not even. This is barely 10 times gravity on King Kai's planet. What are you talking about? This is not even difficult. This is how your brain grew. Where's my? Are you guys having trouble? No, you guys have acclimated at this point, right? It's time to. Come on, we got to get up to 100 times gravity.
2% to 5% of GDP, making our alliance far stronger and more powerful than it was ever before. In May, I traveled to the Middle East to visit my friends and rebuild our partnerships in the Gulf, and those valued relationships with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE and other countries are now, I believe, closer than ever before. My administration has negotiated one historic trade deal after another, including with the United Kingdom, the European Union, Japan, South Korea.
I summarized some of this, to be honest with you. I want to get to the part where he says, I love Europe.
Countries and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle.
Check it. What
the First Lady wasn't in great shape. She would have fallen. But she's
Melania's in great shape. You
We're
heard
both
it here.
in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter.
He gives us a little story about a younger Trump developing this or at least his offer to develop this very building. By the way, they do this meeting in New York. Did you know that? This UN General Assembly building is in New York. Or I forget what it's called, the UN Center? I forget what I think he tells us.
Thank you very much. And by the way, it's working now. It just went on. Thank you. I think I should just do it the other way. It's easier. Thank you very much. I didn't think of it at the time because I was too busy working to save millions of lives. That is the saving and stopping of these wars. But later, not during these negotiations, which were not easy. That being the case, tremendous, tremendous potential.
Come on.
They seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter. The only thing that solves war and Abraham is
right.
action.
Only thing that solves war.
And empty words don't solve war. The only thing that solves war and wars is action. Now, after ending all of these wars and also earlier negotiating the Abraham Accords, which is a very...
Yep. I said some of that.
Donald J. Trump, I bid on the renovation and rebuilding of this very United Nations complex. I remember it so well.
A little history for you. I didn't know this.
I said at the time that I would do it for $500 million, rebuilding everything. It would be beautiful. I used to talk about, I'm going to give you marble floors. They're going to give you terrazzo. I'm going to give you the best of everything. You're going to have mahogany walls. They're going to give you...
What do you know about terrazzas? You ain't never heard that word in your life. I'm going to develop. I should be a voter. I need human rights.
But they decided to go in another direction, which was much more expensive at the time, and which actually produced a far inferior product. And I realized that they did not know what they were doing when it came to construction, and that their building concepts were so wrong, and the product that they were proposing to build was so bad and so costly. It was going to cost them a fortune. And I said, and wait.
Wow, really? That tough?
Till you see the overruns. Well, it turned out to be right. They had massive cost overruns and spent between $2 and $4 billion on the building and did not even get the marble floors that I promised them. You walk on terrazzo. Do you notice that? As far as I'm concerned, frankly, looking at the building and...
Did you even notice that? You don't even know what that word means.
Stuck on the escalator. They still haven't finished the job. They still haven't finished. That was years ago. The project was so corrupt that Congress actually asked me to testify before them on the tremendous waste of money because it turned out that they had no idea.
So that's the story on that. Okay, Europe. He loves Europe. Then we're moving on.
Never be allowed to a letter making a generous offer. No other country on earth could have done what we did. No other we recognize a Palestinian state.
Okay, Palestinian state.
As everyone knows, I have also been deeply engaged in seeking a ceasefire in Gaza. Have to get that done. Have to get it done. Unfortunately, Hamas has repeatedly rejected reasonable offers to make peace. We can't forget October 7th, can we? Now, as if to encourage continued conflict, some of this body is seeking to unilaterally recognize a Palestinian state, the rewards would be too great for Hamas terrorists for their atrocities. This would be a reward for these horrible atrocities, including October 7th.
That's reasonable. Come on.
Even while they refuse to release the hostages or accept a ceasefire.
He's like the only guy who's playing for real. Like everybody else just like, oh, we're just at a meeting. We got to be politically correct. It's like, hello.
Instead of giving to Hamas and giving so much, because they've taken so much, this could have been solved so long ago. But instead of giving in, release to Hamas's ransom demands, those who want peace should be united with one message: release the hostages now. Just release the hostages now.
And you know, the Guterres said a similar thing. Release. I'll tell you one thing. Release the hostages. Trump here is an actor, has like influence and all that. Is speaking about it in a real way. Like, yeah, we could do some of that, but how are you going to reward Hamas? So he's like, in reality. Meanwhile, Guterres saying that it's like a person who's not even in the same room. He's saying, just make a two-state solution and release the hostages. It's like, Guterres, are you awake? They don't want, that's why they're keeping the hostages. That's why they're holding on to the hostages. It's the very reason for them. And right, the bargaining chip, etc.
Thank you.
So, where was it? Look, I love Europe, and we're done.
No Rubio. We got most of them back. One daughter were alive. I thought that would be of the 7 good ones. A matter of days, certainly less than 7. President. This was a war that should have never happened.
Yes, Mr. President.
Tariffs, which would stop the bloodshed, I believe, very quickly. But for those tariffs to be effective, European nations, all of you are gathered here right now.
Right here.
Would have to join us in adopting the exact same.
Oh, no. That's just him telling him, if I go tough on Russia, you guys got to go tough with me.
Speak my mind and speak the truth as we seek to reduce the threat of dangerous weapons. They gave us a devastating global pandemic.
Again, this was live, so all my timestamps don't work. I can't get to the exact spot I was at before. This event is still going on.
Yet, despite that worldwide catastrophe, many countries are continuing extremely risky research into bioweapons and man-made pathogens.
Terrible stuff. Got to get to that right on, Mr. President.
Uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined.
Here we go.
Too often, it's actually creating new problems for us to solve. The best example is the number one political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration.
Number one political issue of our time.
Uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined.
Ruined.
The United Nations is funding an assault on Western countries and their borders. In 2024, the UN budgeted $372 million in cash assistance to support an estimated 624,000 migrants journeying into the United States. Think of that. The UN is supporting people that are illegally coming into the United States, and then we have to get them out. The UN also provided food, shelter, transportation, and debit cards to illegal aliens. Can you believe that? On the way to infiltrate our southern border. Millions of people came through that southern border. Just a year ago, millions and millions of people were pouring in, 25 million altogether over the 4 years.
Oh, come on, everything is fake. You're such an exaggerator.
Incompetent Biden administration. And now we have it stopped, totally stopped. In fact, they're not even coming anymore because they know they can't get through. But what took place is totally unacceptable. The UN is supposed to stop invasions, not create them and not finance them. In the United States, we reject the idea that mass numbers of people from foreign lands can be permitted to travel halfway around the world, trample our borders, violate our sovereignty, cause unmitigated crime, and deplete our social safety net. We have reasserted that America belongs to the American people, and I encourage all countries to take their own stand in defense of their citizens as well. You have to do that because I see it. I'm not mentioning names. I see it, and I could call every single one of them out. You're destroying your countries. They're being destroyed. Europe is in serious trouble.
So, I mean, he's telling you right there. I just thought it was great. He's like the only one talking about something real. They went off blathering about human rights. After Trump here, you got some Mexican lady comes up, and I don't know what country, honestly. It was some Hispanic country talking about human rights and the rights of women. And then right after her, it's like some other woman. And then, you know, you got some guys coming in. I don't know. They look like from some like African countries talking about, right, asking for something. And then it was like more women. It was like more women. Nobody's talking about anything real at this thing. 80 years, you got here, and it's just a bunch of women complaining. It looked like a bunch of weak guys. You know, when you see Trump, right, I see, and it pans out to the crowd. I'm like, wow, these are all the world leaders. It makes me think of like racist. They call it racist. They'll call it racist. Depictions of, where was it? Where can I find this? It's like these Japanese paintings depicting like a blonde Western man towering over just like minorities, basically. It's like where I'll find that for you. I'll find that somehow. uh, Fair enough. Fair enough. Everything's fake. But what can I say? What can I say? I mean, taking our time with this one, definitely. 888-775-3773. You know, we're talking a little bit about Trump lately. Is this his anger? His anger, okay? I know people are talking about his anger, his hatred to his opponents. There was a funny little thing here on the New York Times, which I found somewhat funny, somewhat interesting. I hate my opponent. Trump's remarks at Kirk Memorial distill his politics. They got him figured out. And really, that comment, this person is essentially saying, his comment on I hate my opponent, his commentary about that, it really is a distillation of what he thinks his whole politics. This guy is all about grievance. This Tyler Pager of the New York Times will claim in this article, we're not going to read it all. But that's funny that they are latching on to that moment. Like it's particularly nasty, which is, I find it funny because that's how we treat each other. It's not like those people latching onto that wherever his supporter. It's like the people who will go after Jesse when he says something like, I'm trying to think, just something that's not in the verbal framework of what he said. Is put it like this, like, if he were to say like, I'm trying to think of a good example, but essentially, yeah, like, he's out on a man on the street and someone yelling at him and he yells back at them and he's like, hey, why are you treating a black man like that? What are you, racist? Right? He's like, that's a man on the street. He's like outside and he it is like a made up scenario, but although this may have happened, I can't think of exactly. Imagine this scenario, and someone's yelling at him, and he's like, "Hey, don't yell at a black man. What are you, racist?" You'll have the crowd say, "Whoa, you're saying the wrong words here. What are you They'll say, but racism doesn't exist, you said," and the very same people saying that, right, quick to charge him on that. Now, as of course, people just sometimes just have a question. They're, just viewers, no biggie. But I'm just saying, I'm particularly describing these people who will be quick to charge Jesse should a scenario like that happen, and they don't even believe in his initial claim of racism not existing. They simply want to just hold him to something. It's so evil, right? It's like, I hate my opponent. And the New York Times, the news, they're quick. They're like, this guy. Yeah, that's just his politics. That's just how this guy is. Grievances. And they weren't, or you're right, or they're quick to say, hating your opponent is wrong, Mr. President. Right? They'll be quick to say that, and it's not like they ever thought, and it's not like they were ever scrutinizing Trump for a positive reason before that, anyways. Holding him to really being honest and loving for the sake of honesty and love. It's like, no, you're going after your opponent. You hate your opponent. Tyler Pager and others. Mr. Trump has used the full might of his political and executive power to express that mindset. I mean, what is that's just the way you color things. Hey, I guess that's what people do. But I mean, look, this guy's just coloring it all wrong. It's the wrong color. Mr. Kirk's killing has only accelerated that campaign. What, to go after people? He hasn't gone after anybody. Not Jimmy Kimmel. That's a conspiracy. Not anybody like that. But the president's comment on Sunday was in keeping with his pugilistic style of politics. Big old fancy words here. Tyler Pager. But yeah, I guess it's bad. Okay? It's a bad thing. Pugilistic, relating to or involving fighting with the fists, especially professional boxing, inclined or eager to fight. Okay? Got a little learning there for you. A little book learning for you. He spoke just minutes after Kirk's widow, Erica, said she forgave her husband's killer. I forgive him because it was what Christ did, and it is what Charlie would do, she said. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love. Mr. Trump could not feign forgiveness. I am sorry, Erica, he said, before contradicting her. That's so funny that this article points out that moment, too, the same way I did. I thought it to a funny point in that it was, in my mind, standing in opposition almost to, or as a counterpoint to Erica's approach to it all. And I know it was like mired in this Christian forgiveness thing, but there's a lot of assumptions in this Christian forgiveness style. There's a lot of assumptions like that you are not hating. That's a big assumption that, in going on a stage and saying, I don't want him to die and I just forgive him, that you are not hating by just invoking Christ's name and just saying that. And I know that they're looking at it wrong because, for example, she thinks that she'll have this guy's blood on her hands should he be given the death penalty. That tells you that she's looking at it wrong. Like, it wouldn't be forgiving him, that it would be like answering hate with hate. And so you know that you got this whole idea wrong. And you got a big assumption here that you have no hate in your so-called show of forgiveness for this killer, and that you're fighting hate with no hate. So then what if that were true, if you were fighting hate with no hate, if that were true, why would you have to say it, make a big show of it, tears about it? I forgive him because it's what Charlie would do. And why would you have to do any of that? But I find it funny they pointed that out too. Mr. Trump could not feign forgiveness. I'm sorry, Erica, before contradicting her. He did not hate his opponents, the president said of Mr. Kirk. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagree with Charlie. Mr. Trump has been fueled by grievance and animosity over the course of his political career. And this is where they make this point. They make their point about Trump being just always is full of animosity, just saying people have been doing him wrong. But the thing is that's true. And I've never gotten an ounce of sulkiness from him, revenge. I've never gotten an ounce of anger even over it. If you remember, there was something that came down against him from like the Supreme Court, right? The same Supreme Court that he's got so-called stacked. It's this authoritarian guy so that he can never do any wrong. There was some legal thing was going on, and I forget. It might even be worth it looking it up quickly here because it's pretty interesting. Didn't the Supreme Court rule against the president recently? And he accepted it. And that's really the point here, right? For all his fighting and saying, I'm going to take it to court, you guys are going after me politically. There was one aspect, and the Supreme Court, I think it was something against him, and he accepted it. He's like, it was, hold on, I'm talking to the AI. It was something to do, the Supreme Court against him. Do you remember? Apparently, it might be Trump 2024. The court held that former presidents are entitled to presumptive immunity. No. It had something to do with his money. I think it had something to do with his money, but I remember him just accepting that. You understand? If he was this, right, with grievance and animosity and going to be this fascist, right? He would have done away with the Supreme Court right then. But what else? This article was interesting further because he goes even harder for the people saying that he did not hate him, saying I hate my opponents. This article actually shows him going harder. Hold on. Mr. Trump has been fueled by grievance and animosity, even in the years before when he was a public figure in New York, after 5 teenagers were accused of assaulting and raping a young female jogger in New York City in 1989. Mr. Trump called for New York State to bring back the death penalty and told reporters, I want society to hate them. I didn't know that. I didn't know he said that. But I want society to hate them, according to a book on the president by Maggie Haberman, a New York Times reporter. The men were later exonerated. Now, I forget the details on that. I just remember. I just forget the exact details, but those 5 and why they were so-called exonerated. I don't think it was on the up and up in that it was not, like, it didn't make sense. I heard. It was a terrible thing. They were not exonerated. They confessed, says Doom Jesus. I'm trying to remember this being talked about on the Hake Report. But so you're seeing here him getting heavily criticized for that, right? Saying, oh, animosity. They trying to make this point that he's got all these things, but honestly, he's just been trying to get justice and all that. And I think he's shown a great attitude and spirit through it all. Then this comment about I want society to hate them. Like, he goes harder. He goes harder than hating his opponents. He says, I want society to hate these people getting the death penalty. Again, it's a matter of this individual. They were never exonerated, according to reporting from Daily Wire. So this could very well be even lies. You know how they report things in a certain way. But put it like this. I want society to hate them. I found this whole thing interesting because you've had the not privilege, but you just had an extended view of this individual, Trump. You've seen him speak at length, interviews. Maybe you haven't seen him, but they're there. And you hang on to a sentence, a word, and it shows me how we treat each other. I find it so interesting. This is how we treat each other. You'll have a friend who you have like memory, right? They have like you have like years of friendship where they've expressed themselves. They'll say one thing wrong, something that doesn't sound right to you. You'll say one thing and then you'll hang on that. Friendships can end from that. Fights can start from that. And the person doing that never sees how not just simply wrong or just asking how evil they are, because this is what they're really doing. They're sitting around judging instead of asking, what do you mean, friend? What do you mean, church congregation that I fellowship with? What do you mean, group of friends, family that I love? Instead, you heard this one thing, and now you're just judging them, and you're evil. You're an evil person. You have this person you've known, and you're gonna right, put them through a court in your head and judge them. You really think so? I want society to hate them. I hear that, and I think to myself, he's saying society can't have anything to do with these people that have just gone too far. He's not saying he wants people to just hate, because I want more hate in the world and chaos. He's saying he wants society to have nothing to do with these individuals, these people who are super predators. And again, I forget this story about the Central Park Five, but I think there was a bunch of lies about about that one anyways. They shouldn't be in society, and society is far too forgiving, quote unquote, in the wrong way, in the mama female Erica Kirk possibly way. Far too forgiving in that way, and look at where we are. When asked about the divergent messages from the president and Ms. Kirk, the White House press secretary said on Monday the president was authentically himself. They're like asking people around Trump, so what's up with him saying he hates people? As if they wanted him to love, as if they were really worried about love. I think that's why millions of Americans across the country love him and support him, including Erica Kirk, who you saw so beautifully was on stage with the president in an unthinkable moment in the midst of an unthinkable tragedy and was leaning on the president for support. And he was there to give it to her. Okay, thank you, Caroline Levitt. Right. Press secretary. So anyway, I found that article kind of funny, interesting. For a number of reasons. They were never exonerated. Okay. Yep. What kind of question is that? People asking if people are married. Whatever. So yeah, any of you guys get disturbed by Trump saying he hates his opponents with his righteous anger? Damn, Erica can't catch a break. Thanks, Karen. How you doing? What's up, Jep? I could see she was struggling to deliver the lines they wanted her to say and going through the motions. You talking about Erica Kirk? Did I say this yesterday? Didn't she mess up her line? She had a line to say. Is that wrong of me to use that word, lines? That was she's speaking her speech from the heart, right? But one of the lines was, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." She's like, "Forgive them, for they not know what they do." Is that correct? Am I the dummy with egg on my face? I thought she messed up her line. She's like, "Forgive them. Forgive them, for they not know what they do." Tell me, she got that wrong, right? Right, chat? She messed up her line. She's like, line. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. That's how I always heard that. Yeah, she said it backwards. So what? I'm saying she messed up her line. Dude, Jesus, are you saying so what because it was still real? No, I think no. She messed up her line. It could have if when she came to the back. It's what I would have been on. I would have been the only one honest with her. Hey, look, it was great, but it could have been better. It was great, but it could have been better. At the climax moment when you needed a right, get them, you were like, they not know what they do. It's like, yeah, 40% of the crowd was like right there, and then now that's playing in the back of their heads. They were almost there. But now that's just kind of playing in the back of their heads. They not know. They took out their phones. They're Googling. They know not. See, I knew it was no not. I thought it was. I thought she said it wrong. So I don't know, Doom Jesus. We're trying to run I don't think they should hire you to run their production. Now, and if that was from the heart. I mean, if that was just her speaking, then anybody can make that mistake, right? Anybody can make that mistake, right? I've never heard that before. I would like to see you up there. You would be shaking like a Jamaican who just swallowed a fork of bacon. I want to get to my calls, 888-775-3773. Let's see here. I got some super chats. I want to get to all of you. Let me see here. I got people sending me videos. Y'all sending me some clips here. We'll get to you. We'll get to all of you. Thank you so much. Rumble.com/American Anchor, baby. Thanks for the support. What's up, William Jules, DJT? Great stuff. Thank you for that. Let me just refresh all my stuffs. Okay, let me see. Let me unmute the calls here because we want to get to somebody there. We'll get to super chats and all that as well. We got John out of Florida on the air. Hey, John, is it John?
Yeah.
What's up, John? You're on the air.
All right. That was the fastest on the air I've ever had.
Oh, nice. Well, right on.
Well, Nick, it's nice to talk to you. Hope all is well. I was just listening to you talk about Erica Kirk mixing up the words, and it reminded me of the one of the last lines in Getting Married when they say, "Until death do us part." But I believe it originally was written, "Until death us do part."
Uh-huh.
But I'm pretty certain that just has to do with kind of like how grammar's changed over the centuries. And that could be in that same area of how Erica Kirk said, or she could have just screwed it up altogether. But
so you're saying
when
it's
I heard that,
you're saying it's just as likely that that's how she meant to say it, and that's just how it's changed.
that it could be both. I don't have anything other than the
us do part. Interesting. Yeah, I think you're right. Oh, hold on. Am I reading this correctly? Go on.
Yeah, and unless unless she actually read it and knew better, I would say she's probably more of a Bible thumper than I certainly am. I could definitely say that.
And how did you hear it growing up? If you could remember about they know not what they do.
Yeah, I always heard they know not what they do.
Yeah, they know not what they do.
I mean, I heard it the way you're referencing it, but when she said it that way, the first thing that clicked in my head was "Until death us do part," instead of "Until death us do us part."
That's right. I mean, they're simplifying it, making it easier. They've made words that were not I forget where I heard this, maybe on the Hake Report. But the word gullible wasn't, unless I'm falling for some meta gullible trick here. I heard gullible was not in the dictionary, and then they added that in.
Well,
so what were jokes and what were more complicated cultural things? It's like, let's just simplify that. Just make that a word. Simplify that. Dumb it down.
And that I don't know. I remember when I was in middle and high school, we used to mess around and we'd tell people that, or we'd tell them that gullible's written on the ceiling.
I think I'm falling for a three-layered gullible trick here, but I think my point still stands.
Yeah.
Just simplification, dumbing down of a language and all that. That old language.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember. There was a movie where some college kids got transported back in time. I couldn't recall the name of it, but they end up in medieval times, and only one or two of them could figure out what the people were saying, even though they were using English words, but it was Middle English.
It's
not modern English. And that could be one of those carryovers and whatever.
What did you think when you saw Erica Kirk and her speech and becoming CEO?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have the opinion, especially those little kids, that she should be spending some more time raising the kid. Don't know what being CEO of Turning Point's going to demand of her. I mean, it could be. I mean, she's obviously not going to do Charlie. It'd be.
You said
really
she's not going to do what?
Do Charlie. Be him. Going out on. So it might at this
point. She said it's going to be campus. They still want to do these events and go out and to the campuses and all that. So I'm wondering, will Erica be at the booth and like taking on debates?
Yeah, that's I mean, I would hope I mean, I would think that it would be better if she would, take the seat at the helm and organize this stuff, but maybe work less and devote the time to the family. So you could still hold the position and be a part of the process, but not
There might
necessarily.
be some way, like you could be part of some board, or you hold like some financial. So you have some setup where you basically are always set up financially, but it's like the day-to-day is led by like some man. You know what I mean? Like you can find one man to run it. It's like there's a way to do it, I think, where you're maybe even a part of a board, and it's not even. I don't think it's even crazy to say, well, I mean, it's just, why is it just this assumption that she has to keep going? She has to keep some organization going. Why? Because she's the wife? Like, it's not even, there's just way too much assumption there. I mean, for example, starting off with this assumption that there should or could be anything beyond Kirk. It was never planned. It's not like anybody sat around planning, what do we do if Kirk is assassinated tomorrow? I mean, unless they did. The movement was Kirk. The movement was him, and then what he did and his example. Like, all this is
exactly. It's usually not the CEO that is doing the footwork.
Yeah.
So he was unique in that aspect.
That's right. So all this, I find it as just just an opportunity for folks. It's like there's a mountain of gold, and how do we get a pile? How do we kind of get in there? It's just far too tempting, I gather.
Yeah, I bet you there's a lot of folks that would want that position specifically for the, I'm sure for the position, the glamour, the I won't say glamour, as a loose term, but the notoriety, recognition, and all that. And I don't think Charlie was really about that. He just wanted to get out and have a conversation.
That's right.
Really, you'd have a tough time finding people that you could put in that position that wouldn't want to exploit it just for the position that it is.
Terrible, man. Yeah, not a good sign. I just see it as downhill for the right, TPUSA, etc.
Hopefully, she can be a good figurehead and keep everything going. I know there's still some other people that were involved,
but it can't. It won't happen that way. Look Erica Kirk. Look who's running it.
Well, and again, that could be,
She's already saying mama's
thing.
She's already saying, I'm going to get the blood. Don't do the death penalty on this guy. I forgive him. I don't want his blood on my hands. She's already saying things that are not true that a mama would say. It's not going to get better. It's not going to be run well.
Well, I guess we had to have a wait and see on the long run on that.
No, there's no way. No, I'm telling. No, okay, yeah.
There's a lot.
That's what you're.
She's got a lot on
the reasonable.
Her
plate. You're being quite reasonable, and I'm saying no, we're not waiting and seeing on that. It's not being run. I guess that's the reasonable thing, though, right? We should wait and see. But I'm telling you, it's not going to be run well. All right, man. Hey, anything else you want to say on this?
Yeah. I was actually on the topic of assassinations. I was listening, I think Friday, and somebody called up and was talking about like JFK and Martin Luther King and everybody, and talking about how kind of straightforward a lot of those investigations went. There was talk of conspiracies, and I could agree with some of them, but the Martin Luther King assassination was just a mess. I don't know if you've ever followed up with what Judge Joe Brown has to say about it, because he was the actual last judge to preside over the case.
You talking about MLK?
Yeah, the MLK assassination.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard any of that.
Oh yeah. There's he talks about it. There's a bunch of videos about it, but he was the final judge that was, reviewing everything to recommend whatever charges for James Earl Ray. And what he came up with was factually that James Earl Ray didn't kill Martin Luther King. He even tells how the rifle in the Civil Rights Museum is not the rifle that killed him, lays down all the facts and information about it, how the theory of where the shots came from was impossible. There's all kinds of crazy details that Joe Brown dug into and got to the bottom of it. He was not going to recommend charges.
Well,
he was not going to recommend charges, and then James Earl Ray mysteriously died in custody, and then his lawyer mysteriously died.
It's a dark world. I really don't know. I didn't know that. I might have to check some of that out. But what were you saying? You thought you were saying you were thinking something's not on the up and up with the Charlie Kirk assassination? Are you saying?
There's in to some extent there's. It looks like there's possible more stuff. They got all these, extra deep conspiracy theorist people, not the craziest crazy ones, but I guess a couple of the folks on YouTube that have been posting certain videos and certain angles.
Yeah, but what are you
pointing stuff out have been contacted by Kash Patel about what they've found and what they're looking at.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you've seen. I can't say I've seen anything credible. I've seen a lot of crazy theories over mere visual artifacts on like a compressed video or conjecture because of someone's hand moving, the flicking hand and the alleged palm pistol. Like, it's ridiculous. It doesn't even look like that when you really, even if you really scrutinize it, when you really look at it, it really doesn't look like a palm pistol, a second shooter, or a what's the other theory, or whatever. It does.
I've heard stuff about some kind of trap door and all kinds of stuff, but there's just a lot of weird stuff surrounding it. I mean, in the end, we got to wait to see what happens.
Totally. The only thing that I've heard that's interesting is, I think I even heard this from Kash Patel, is this possibility of accomplices, and that is really for those like wondering about conspiracy, what could be going on. You're thinking too crazy. Like, they're like, what did Israel do it? It's like, there's no evidence to that. There's more evidence of what it's of like what it, right, like lefty student, like younger people that somehow met online and they're into possibly deranged things. It's looking strange.
I'd be more inclined to go with that. I'd be more inclined to subscribe to that kind of
a group of lefties who are into violence, and they're like talking about it online and planning it. Like, now that sounds more like believable to me.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. And yeah, there's a lot of little things that I've heard, but I don't click on all the videos to watch them, but I'll sometimes read just a hair into it just to see if it's worth following up on, or if it just kind of sounds crazy. But there's just always questions, until you really, really know what went on, and say the whole thing with Martin Luther King is an example. They said this guy James Earl Ray did it. Judge Joe Brown explains why he would plead guilty even if he wasn't, and a bunch of other interesting things that just lend to the I'm not going to jump on the we got him bandwagon until everything's on the table and can be seen. But
fair enough.
It's interesting stuff.
Well, thanks, John. Anything else you want to say here before I let you go?
No, that was it. I just wanted to touch on. I wanted to touch on that assassination bit with MLK, and then just as I was calling, I heard you talking about the word swap.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, thanks, John. Call me again, man.
Will do. Have a good one, Nick.
Take care. 888-775-3773. Interesting. What are y'all saying here? Thanks, Steven. Appreciate the super chats, y'all. Thank you, modern gentlemen. Is that Tedo? Or is that T-Dot? I don't know how to say your name, but thanks for the super chat. Says Kyle Ken times 3. Careful with that. You're going to hurt yourself. Appreciate that, Harmony. Thanks for the super chat. Says, Nit, I slowed you to 0.75 speed to balance out sped up Trump. LOL, hashtag union dues. But how will we ever overclock you to the speed we need you at, Harmony? How will we ever, you got to start getting used to it. We need to get you overclocked for the brand new world we're living in, okay? It's time to speed up. Slow is a thing of yesterday. It's a brand new world. Everything's connected. And we need you up to speed. We need you overclocked. We need you in the gravity chamber, in the hyperbolic time chamber, and we need you stronger. You can't be making it weaker because it's too hard. That's the point. Okay? Some of you are calling it irreparable damage to your brain and inner world, what I'm doing to you. I don't see it that way. Just look at me. I'm fine. So anyways, I got Steven out of Maryland. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing?
What's up, Steven? Thanks for your call.
I'm calling about two things. The 5 guys from New York, they were exonerated, you know. Because one of them was on the platform. Yeah, because one of them was on the platform with Kamala Harris.
I remember that a little bit.
Yeah, one of them was there. So he had to be exonerated, right? Okay, as far as Martin Luther King.
But there's probably, I think there's more info on that, and I hope to give that to you in a moment. But what were you saying? Because I don't think it's exactly like that. Because I heard that they confessed, and it's like, what's the point? Right? Exoneration means nothing if you confess. Sure, it maybe legally means something, but if you confess, it's like, well, here's the story, folks. For the annals of history, let us remember they confessed. But I don't know the details on that, so I just want to say that for the record.
Well, I don't know ever confession. They found one guy that they found that really did it.
You said what?
There was one guy who really did it. They convicted him. Now he's in the slam or wherever. They raped the white lady in the park. That's what they was charged with. 5 of them. Right?
I don't remember. How you're talking to the wrong guy?
But you wasn't here. How old are you?
No, I wasn't. 1989. I don't think I was around. No, I don't think. I definitely was not around. I did not exist.
No, I don't think you was here. You wasn't here about the assassination of Martin Luther King either, right?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, well, I was here.
Is that so? Where were you?
Yeah. I was, where was it?
Where were you?
When we talking about 89? When was it? When was that
MLK.
crime committed?
Sorry, what?
When was it? What year was that crime committed?
The assassination of MLK?
I know when that was. That was.
That's 68. MLK. Which one are you talking about?
I was talking about the 5 guys that was
Central Park 5. 1989.
1989. Okay, well, I was back in Baltimore because I got out the military in '85.
Yeah, 1989. So where were you when the MLK thing happened? Where were you?
I was in the military. I was over in Germany.
Germany military. And so what? You heard about it in the news?
Yes, I had to. I was over there.
And
I was in Germany.
Had you heard about MLK before that?
I heard about it when it happened.
But did you hear about MLK and know about MLK before before you heard about the news of the assassination?
No, I heard the same time it happened, the same day. I told you I was in the military. I was here.
Let me slow down. Apologies. I'm asking if you knew who MLK was before that day, though.
Yeah, I know who he was.
So yeah, sure. you were familiar with this man who was going around for civil rights, etc.
Yeah, I knew all that.
And you were like with it. It made sense to you.
But that's why they had all those riots. So they said they killed the reverend, they killed the preacher. That's why they had all those riots in '68.
Interesting.
Okay.
So what do you want to say?
According to James Earl Ray, the reason why he confessed to it, because they told him he won't have a seat in the hot squat if he didn't confess. So that's why he confessed, and he got life in prison.
Oh, so you don't believe James Earl Ray killed him either?
Yeah, he killed him.
Oh, my bad. I thought you said that they forced a confession out of him.
No, I ain't saying about forcing no confession. I said he confessed
right,
that he did it so they wouldn't put him in the electric chair.
Oh, I understand. Not
Right.
They weren't. Not that they were threatening him to kill him unless he confessed. Understood.
Right.
Right.
Okay. That's what his attorney told him.
All right.
Not the court. His attorney.
Uh-huh.
Right. The reason why I think he did it was why was he's a poor white dude. What is he doing all the way over in England, get ready to go to some other place?
What? So wait, what's the point?
After he did his deed, he drove to Montreal, got on a plane and flew to England, and he did go some other place. Where did he get all this money to do all that?
I don't know.
That's why I say he did it.
That's why you say what?
That's why I say he did it. He's guilty. Guilty, 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 guilty.
Well, I'm not familiar. It's not even a question
You
in my
wasn't
mind.
here. You wasn't here then, right? So you don't know anything
I
about
wasn't.
it.
So
You don't know anything
it's
about
not really
it.
a question in my mind. It's not something I was questioning or wasn't. What's your point of bringing this up? I guess my caller brought it up, but they weren't really making a claim either.
Yeah, because that little short nut, Joe Brown, talking a whole bunch of stuff.
I don't know what he's saying about that. So
I don't know what he said about it either, but obviously he didn't say whatever was right. But Joe Brown is a conservative too. Also,
isn't it such a mess how MLK's name has been used to this day to continue this lie that there are such a thing as racism keeping black people down in any way and justifying their anger today? Isn't that such a terrible thing how MLK is used for that reason?
No.
You disagree with that?
Yeah. There is such a thing as racism. You white, you wouldn't know.
Why wouldn't I know that?
How wouldn't you know? That's what I'm saying.
Well, how about tell me? Where's your proof?
There you go. Proof. I had proof. I had a hard time. Look, when I went in the military, I was the only black person who was an air traffic controller. The only one. Why was there more?
Wait, they're saying that's an example of racism?
That's just an example of racism.
But how is that an example of racism? That's an example of not racism, because here you're in a world where you're telling me that not many blacks were air traffic controllers, and here you did it anyways, though. So it sounds to me like it wasn't something that blacks were doing, but here's the one black that did do it, and they let him do it. So it sounds like a story of not racism to me.
It's only one, me. I've never seen another one.
Right, but you tell me that story, and I don't hear racism. I hear a story of, okay, it sounds like not many blacks were air traffic controllers, but here is one who decided to be it, and they let him do it. I don't hear the racism. Where's the racism?
I'm quite sure. There was other ones that wanted to be one. You come up with DEI, this DEI thing all of a sudden.
But how come they couldn't if you could?
Your women, your boy Charlie Kirk, that if you see a black plane, a black pilot flying a plane, he's ready. He gets answer in his pants. He gets answer. Why is that?
Wait, ask it again.
He said if he see a black pilot in the cockpit in a national airline, he gets kind of antsy. He don't know if he's qualified or not.
Something like that. You might be mischaracterizing him. That quote, I forget how he said it. They've been everybody who's brought it up. Let me just say, everybody who's brought up that quote has mischaracterized exactly how he said it. But I still, even in what you said, I don't see the lie or the problem. I'm failing to see what the problem was with that statement.
Even your man said it.
Who?
Jesse Lee Peterson says it.
I'm failing to see the problem with the statement. Help me understand.
What you trying to understand?
Well, you said that Charlie said something to the effect of having some concern if he had a black pilot, and it's in the context of these.
It's not qualified.
It's in the
right?
context of these people being hired, not because of their qualification, but because of their black skin.
Their skin. That's right.
So with that laid out, I'm failing to see what's wrong with that statement.
How would you like to be? I mean, somebody just look at you and said, you're not qualified automatically.
Well, I'm not saying, well, I don't know if I would like it or not. I don't know if I don't think I would, but it's not a matter of me liking it or not. That's not the point.
That would be racism.
No. It's not a matter, if someone said that about me, it's not a matter of me liking it or not. Is it true or not?
It's not true.
Oh, it's not true that blacks are being given positions for their identity and not.
That's right.
You're saying that's not true?
I'm saying that is true. They don't get jobs because of their color. You know that.
No, but I'm saying but I'm saying that they're getting jobs because of their color. I'm saying that is happening.
No.
And you agree that it should be happening.
No. What I'm saying, you're trying to flip the switch.
So you don't believe there are people getting jobs and being looked at for work and for jobs because of their color?
That's right. That's what I'm saying. That's what's been happening for years.
No, you're not answering the question.
I've been on this.
Do you believe that's happening?
No,
you're not listening. Do you believe that that's happening? People are receiving jobs or are being looked at for jobs because of their color.
Oh, that's an entirely different thing. What I'm saying, I'm not saying that. I'm saying.
So then, what is DEI then?
Listen to what I'm saying. People are discriminated because of their color. That's what I'm saying. If you're black, you don't look at you forever before this job. Period. That's it. Nothing else. Basically.
Well, let's break it down. Let's break it down even further. How about we break it down even further?
Okay, break it down some more.
All right. So what is affirmative action? What is that? Are you familiar with the concept?
That was in what it started in 70, 63, 64, 65, somewhere in there. And most of that benefited white women.
No, but what is that? The question was,
I guess
what is that?
You equal everybody, and you should be able to get this job not because of your color.
You said affirmative action was this program to make things equal. How did they do that? How did they do that?
I haven't the faintest idea.
You have no idea how they did that?
Oh, I mean, we'll start with this. Why did they do that?
We'll get to that. The question was.
No.
It's I asked you first. We'll get to my question. You'll get to your question in a second. But I asked you, what is affirmative action? You told me this program to make things equal. Now I'm asking you, how did they? What is the method they used to make things equal? Go ahead, tell me.
They hired people because they hired people on equal basis according to their talent instead of their race.
Now you're lying.
That's what it is.
No, but now you're lying.
Now ask me. Now why did they
pick? But tell me first, why did they pick these talented people you're calling in this affirmative action program? Because you said the criteria they're using to pick them was their talent, but we both know that it was also their minority status. That's what affirmative action was totally about. Tell me if I'm wrong about that.
What is it again? Say it again.
Affirmative action, I'm asking you to describe what it was. You're telling me it was this thing to make things equal. You're telling me, I asked you, how did they do that? You're telling me they did it by giving jobs to talented people. Now I'm asking
people that's talented in that field.
But you're leaving something out. Talented black people or minority people because
No.
That's not true? You're saying that's not true what affirmative action was about? And women, like you said, and white women, like you said.
Women too. White women benefit the most.
So you agree with me? It was a program to make things equal by giving jobs to minorities and women.
That was equal. I mean, they had the talent.
So what you said was not true then, right? That's in America, you get passed over for jobs, et cetera, because of being black. And yet you just described to me
That's right.
a multi-decade enduring program that gave jobs to black people, et cetera.
That was qualified. Yeah.
You keep adding that in, but I think we're on the same
That's
page
the
now.
idea.
All of a sudden, I think we
You're
might
not
be on the same
look,
page, maybe.
Look, you're not going to give a job to somebody who don't know how to do it.
So back to Charlie Kirk. Now that we both agree that there's been, going back to the 70s, you said, what, 60s, you said? Going back to the 60s.
I think it started in the 60s. I don't know.
We've both established in this conversation, thank you very much for your call, by the way, that going back to the 60s, there's been programs to give jobs, not because of qualification, but because of skin color.
You got to have the qualifications.
Huh? You said what?
You got to have the qualifications.
But that's if someone just had, what was the point of needing a program that focuses on anything other than qualifications if qualifications is what matters?
That's all it is. That's qualifications. If you don't have the qualifications, how are you going to get the job?
That's exactly the point. What's the point of having a program like that if qualifications is not the most important thing? If you made qualifications the most important thing, you wouldn't need to focus on anything else than being a woman, black, or anything else.
Yes, it would, but you don't give it to a black if he got the qualifications.
Okay, well, that's just, I think that's just conspiracy, I must say, because now we're living in a time where we're trying it your way. We're saying we're living in that time. They told us for a year, they told us, hey, you got to have affirmative action. You got to let them in because racism is what kept them out. Now we're living in a time where we're doing what you said. They've given blacks and women the jobs, the leadership roles because you claim that there's racism. And look at what they're doing with it. They're ruining it. So I find it hard to believe what you said to be true.
What are they ruining?
Because now we're living it. Of course, you're not seeing the women and blacks running cities and families at home. They're destroying all of it.
I don't think anything's destroyed. Your family's destroyed?
Pick a city. Pick a Chicago. Pick a city run by a black woman. Pick a city run by a black. Pick a city run by a black mayor. Pick one.
I don't know any now.
You don't know any? Let's start with Karen Bass, Los Angeles. You want to live in certain areas of Los Angeles? Let's start with what about Chicago, Illinois? What about
I don't live in Los Angeles.
Wait, what'd you say?
I don't live in Los Angeles. I don't know anything about Los Angeles.
But this is what I'm getting at. You said, I'm telling you where blacks and women are running things. You said that you're trying to tell me that this affirmative action and all this stuff that happened before my time, you're trying to claim to me that no, that was just because of racism keeping those people out. Those people were qualified, but they needed the extra help because racism kept them out. Well, I'm telling you that we're living today in a time where we're trying that exact thing you said. We're giving the jobs and the leadership roles to women and minorities, and we're seeing today what they're doing with that, and it's terrible.
Okay.
So I don't believe your claim about how it was.
What about the state? What about the state? The state rules the cities. And you got white people running the state.
Wait, what? What did you say? Say that again?
You run white. Take Mississippi. How about that one?
Uh-huh. What about
Tennessee? Memphis, Tennessee is the number one. Memphis, Tennessee is the number one murder capital.
That's right.
Most crime-ridden city in the country, right?
Is that also the city with like the highest black population?
Right, but
you say right.
Makes no difference. Well, who runs the state? What state?
Who's the mayor of Memphis? But who runs the city?
No?
But who runs the city?
It has nothing to do with who runs the state.
No, but the question is who runs the city? Because you got the state, and the state has the city of Memphis, which is a mess. But it also has. But it also has. What's the nice? It also has nice areas. Okay, so.
That's right.
So it comes. So
it also got better.
So it's a pretty good question, I think, to ask. Well, who's running Memphis? Who's running the city?
No. That has nothing to do with it. The state controls the city.
I think it has a lot to do with it.
Controls the cities.
Paul Young black man. That's his name, Paul Young. I believe is his
Oh,
name.
yeah. Yes.
Oh, no, wait. What's his name?
I don't know.
I'm trying to get it for you. The
I'm
mayor
stuck
of
in Maryland. I
Memphis,
don't know.
as of September 2025, is Paul Young, I believe.
Okay. What did he do? Get assassinated?
No, I'm just saying that's who's running the city of Memphis. He seems to be. Well, he looks like it's a black man. I'm not familiar with him. But what can I say, Steven? Anything else you want to say here?
No, I just want to explain to you about that. I want you to give me that question. Why was affirmative action put in action?
Why didn't the what?
Why was affirmative action brought forth?
I'm not. I thinking. I really don't. I can't pinpoint it, but I'm starting to gather that it was a lie, even going back from the beginning, because I was under this impression that there was something about civil rights that was maybe okay, but that was corrupted along the way. And it was like race hustlers got in there. They're trying to get MLK's blood on their shirt so that they could look good and they could have and keep the movement going, so to speak. But I'm coming to learn it was a terrible lie from the get-go. It was a lie I'm hearing about even the earliest people who were freed and from slavery and all that. They started banding together and saying, we got to go after, we got to get our civil rights. I'm hearing that. I'm thinking it was a scam from the get-go, but I wasn't there. I'm not familiar. Go ahead.
I mean, but why was civil rights brought around?
Like I said, I'm starting to gather it was a scam from the get-go, a way to keep the blacks, under hypnotism and use them as a voting block or a as a power thing. It's a power thing.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, think about how it's endured today. They continue.
But wait a minute. For black minority, how are they going to bring power?
It's not by themselves, but it's in addition. It's a strategy thing. And here's the thing: let's say you can't win let's say maybe you can win an election, but it doesn't have to go all the way to the top like that. Just look at individuals like Al Sharpton. Or mayors from these cities who love to talk about racism. They seem to have enriched themselves quite well, and they didn't have to necessarily win a big national election or anything. So it's a matter of constituency, and you got enough people hypnotized, you got false worldly power.
How did he enrich himself? What did he do?
Who?
Al Sharpton.
Hypnotize black people by lying to them?
So how did Jesse Peterson get rich, a millionaire?
I'm not familiar with his millions.
That's your friend, Jesse Lee Peterson. You don't know him?
I know him, but you talk about things you have no idea about.
I know he's rich.
In spirit. And maybe,
money.
Maybe, I really don't know. He's lived a long life, and he's what's the word? Been responsible. Because it has to do with being responsible over a large period of time. When you're responsible over a large period of time, you end up with wealth. Yeah. Did you know that?
Yeah, right.
You say yeah, right? You sound like someone who has no wealth.
Look,
you sound like you said yeah, right to being responsible over a large period of time, accruing you wealth. You sound like someone who has no wealth.
I don't have. How much wealth do you think I have? I'm not a millionaire.
You don't have a millionaire mindset. You don't seem to have the millionaire mindset.
Well, I got the millionaire mindset. I know how to handle money.
Oh, nice.
I just don't have it.
You just don't have it? You said?
Nobody gave me no money. What?
Oh, you said you know how to handle it. You just don't have it?
That's right. I had to make my little bit of money I have. I'm upper middle class. I make over.
But you have what you deserve. The reason you don't have more is because you cannot handle it. If you could handle it, you would have more.
I would handle it, but I couldn't do it. I'm not a con artist. I didn't con these people, just like Al Sharpton.
What a poor mindset. What a poor mindset to have at this age. Stephen, I wish you well, though. What else did you want to say before I let you go?
Jesse Lee Peterson and Al Sharpton, same boat, two con artists. There you go. How about that?
Stay
Al
asleep, I
Sharpton's a
guess.
millionaire too.
Hey,
Al Sharpton's a millionaire too.
no sweat off my back. Stay asleep. Steven, wish you well. Call me again.
Okay, I sure will.
All
Have a
right.
good day.
Take care, sir.
All right.
888-775-3773. We're having fun with these calls. Let's keep it up. I had this story about this Delta state hanging. And this is an individual. It's terrible. I mean, people are going through turmoil and stuff, and I believe there's a way out, but the world is focused on racism. Colin Kaepernick and Ben Crump coming out of the woodwork to say, basically, they're worried about this situation. It's not on the up and up. Essentially, they found a black guy hanging from a tree, but he killed himself. And they're thinking, right, when in the time when, I'm pretty sure he's a student, right? A student, right? These students are going through inner turmoil, stressed about life. And they lack imagination. They lack any thought or understanding because they have to go to, obviously he was lynched. Well, of course he was lynched after multiple lynch hoaxings just in these past few years. National stories of nooses ending up being hoaxes. And you want to think the most common thing is a lynching. This guy got lynched. Yeah, I think something way more common is happening here. Something that is beyond skin color. Though it's something that we could drop the race thing on, but it's not going to happen because people are sick. We'll get to that here. Maybe if we have some time. I got my callers here waiting patiently. I want to get to Garrett, New Hampshire, right? How you doing, Garrett? On the air.
Hey, Nick. How's it been?
All is well, man. Appreciate it.
Excellent. It's been a long time since I've called in.
That's right.
And I'm late to the party, but I know back in January, Trump was going for an executive order to eliminate birthright citizenship.
That's right.
And as an anchor baby, no offense.
None taken.
I'd just like to get a quick couple thoughts on your end, given the extremism that has been about today and the ideas around citizenship and other things being with asylum seekers and such. Could you shed a little light on how you might be feeling about that?
First, I want to say I love it. I urge the president to keep it up, to go further. I know the birthright thing essentially stands at it's a question mark on the legality. I mean, he came down with an executive order saying that, essentially that's a misuse of that amendment. That was an amendment to do with slavery. It in no way meant to allow the world, the unborn of the entire world to simply just be born on American soil to become a citizen. So he put a stop to it. So there's been court challenges and all that. It went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and they sided it with him on being able to enforce what he wanted to do about it. And it remains, there's talk of it, of the legality of his challenge to birthright, and how that's going to go down in the courts. And I got to say, I don't feel anything about it. I don't feel scared. I don't feel anything like that. And no one should. Trump is like a law and order guy, he's quite measured. It always makes sense. But there's definitely no fear. And I don't know how to put it besides that. I mean, it's just the right thing to do. I was saying this the other day about people who feel they are anchor babies in this country, and some of my commentary, they say they feel like I'm saying that they should just be happy being a guest. But put it like this. I don't feel like let's say I'm think of a future. Sorry for being long-winded, but think of a future here where imagine my citizenship gets revoked. Now, this is pure imagination, but imagine it gets revoked. It's like we're fixing it up. We're making sure true Americans are getting their citizenship. I wouldn't feel any less of a like that day, I wouldn't feel like I'd have to operate any different. I'd still do my best every day, and I don't need to have the right to be the president one day for me to be a full-fledged happy citizen or resident here. Like, it just has nothing to do with that. I don't, I'm being long-winded here, but the point is like, I'm not afraid of it. It makes sense. You just got to do the right thing. It has nothing to do with me personally, and why put myself in there personally. It's like, what? Don't I love the country? Don't I love the country? Don't I want the best for the country?
Right, and exactly. And onto my real question, and you don't have to answer this, but as I feel, as I can see, and you can either answer this or think about it. God puts us where He needs us.
What do you mean? Are you talking about?
Do you feel that God puts us where He needs us, and through the storm of craziness that is exacerbated by what is going on in the world and everything else like that, regardless of whether or not this happened yesterday or years ago, the move to remove birthright citizenship, or talk about the ideals of home and country, it's irrelevant in the eyes of God because He puts us where He needs us.
I think, help me understand what you mean. See, because when I hear God puts us where He needs us, I just think to myself, that might even be true, but I would never know that. I would never know such a thing, or and know the details of it, of where He put me or why. Because it's like God knows. It's like by definition. It's like, I don't know. So I mean, help me understand put it in another way what you were saying.
I think you answered the question without answering the question at the same time. It's more of an idea that with a grain of faith, you can understand that no matter how crazy the world gets, you can not worry, or you don't have to worry about that.
I think I'm following you. Like, it can be so unexpected to the point of, right, a nation making decisions about immigration where your life is affected in a way you never expected. You're saying even in the face of something like that, don't be dismayed. Maybe such things should change, and you were wrong for thinking they shouldn't, and it would, or it's a punishment. Like, let's say I get my citizenship taken away. What, am I going to blame God, or am I going to be like, I deserve to be an American? Like, I would just, I don't know, figure out my life. What's the next step? I just go from the next step there. But that's already being in your head, we don't know about any of that,
Right.
Who knows? I don't know if Trump will listen to my show and hear me say, go further, Mr. President, and revoke the citizenships of these anchor babies.
I apologize. You're breaking up.
No, don't worry about it. I didn't say anything that important. But Garrett, last thing you want to say here? Go ahead.
Sorry, I apologize. You were breaking up.
No problem. Nothing that important. Just go ahead. Last thing you want to say. Go ahead.
Last thing I want to say is thank you. It is so refreshing to hear that. It is wonderful that you have that mentality. God bless you. God bless the show. And thank you very much for taking me on as a call.
Thanks, Garrett. Call me again. Appreciate it.
Of course.
All right, folks. That's the show. I didn't even realize the time. Look at that. Look at the time fly. Wednesday's here already. I will be back tomorrow for more American Anchor Baby. JLP show, of course, the Bond Network. I hear Punchy's on. That was so cool. Trump called out the UN for supporting destructive immigration. We had to show it. We had to get to that. It was, I thought, great. I thought it was incredible. Your country is being destroyed, ruined. He said, ruined. and the UN is supporting it. Fantastic. Okay, great show, great callers, super chats, and all that. Take care for now. See you tomorrow for more American Anchor Baby. Take care. Peace.
The views, information, thoughts, and opinions expressed during this show are the individual's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of the JLP Network or Bond. Their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. The JLP Network and Bond name and all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owner, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service.